Just because you drink together, just because you hang out together, just because you have a thing or two in common, does not mean that person is your friend. If it's not defined, my love, you're in for it. I have learned the hard way just by assuming people are my friends. And back then, come on, we didn't know better. I know for a fact I had not self-actualized. I know I had traumas. I had people-pleasing tendency. I mean, I had no way of really seeing things for what they really were. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm telling my inner self, my inner child. See, you've grown now. Stories are not based on the people in question, okay? It's all about the lessons learned from those same people or that situation, okay? Does that make sense? In my head, it does. Cool. It's festive seasons, all right? Everybody has gone Ocha. Everything is happening. There's food, there's booze. I mean, vibes upon vibes, plans, and it's, you know, everything is bubbly. So, my God, I feel like my system is not ready. My friend tells me, people are hanging out. I'm like, oh, okay, where? She tells me where. I was like, oh, cool, I'll join. Knowing what I know now, it makes a lot of sense why my spirit was not settled. I was feeling some kind of way, okay? And then I joined in. Upon getting there, they had already started drinking. So cool. I sat. I didn't drink that day. That bit people don't know, but I know. So, reason why they might have assumed I was drinking is because I pretend a lot around alcohol. Even right now, I'm a very slow drinker and I'm very cautious when it comes to alcohol. Okay, and you would think I'm in the same level, like drinking, but my love, I'm sober the entire time. Okay, story for another day. Let me know if you want to know why I'm like that when it comes. You know, everybody's friends with everybody at this point. You know somebody and somebody knows somebody. So they also joined, right? And because I was on my phone a lot, I noticed one of the guys was like rubbing my hair. I had a very bulky hair on. So I'm like, you know, don't touch my hair. This I'm saying even now, don't leave it. You just leave it. So I was like, I gave him a look that ought to have said, what are you doing? Okay. Shortly after my phone was almost going off, I decided to go charge it at a friend's place who stayed around the place we were seated. Upon coming back, this man that was rubbing my hair took my seat. Okay. Another friend of ours, since everybody was friends with everybody, wrong, hands me a crate to sit on. I was like, it's okay, I'll still be seated anyway. So fortunately or unfortunately, I was seated facing this guy that was rubbing my hair. I didn't make much of it. And at that time, now because I don't have a phone now, I started now really being attentive to the stories and now I'm present. So before you know it, man took his hands, inserted them in my dress, placed his hands on my thighs and did this. I was like, what are you, what the fuck are you doing? Babe, I was moving his hands. I'm like, Everyone saw that and said nothing. Let me tell you something about rape. It does something to you. It leaves you scarred. It leaves you paranoid. It leaves you... That kind of trauma is the kind that if care is not taken, God. I remember immediately after being raped, the first person I ever encountered and wanted to be in my life, it took a while, a long while, before I trusted myself around any man for that matter. And even right now, my subconscious mind will just trigger, you need to take care of yourself. I will feel the need to, because also when I was raped, it was made like it was my fault, like I deserved it. Okay. So anyway, let's not get into that. So when he touched me, I felt I needed to protect myself, and that's why I was removing his hands off my thighs. All right. And people went on with their stories, and before I know it, man stood up, positioned himself in a very strategic position, and gave me the slap of my life, the back of his. Still, no one said anything until he was almost doing it again. Is when now someone me disrespecting me, saying who am I to command respect or demand to be respected? After all, I was raped, so what right do I have to ask that I be treated better? Said a bunch of things that I'm not able to repeat and hear myself out loud. I swear. And he kept saying he would do it again and again and again. And I never felt so helpless like that day. If there was a time I wished I was a man, it was that day. If there was a time I wished I had some sort of powers to just disappear or just do something. It was that day. And actually, the people were like, we thought Joanna, thought you guys are dating. Did I kept crying. I kept through laughing. Because I don't know that I'm crying. Her, I knew for a fact we were not close or we were not friends at all, because she was the kind that, fine, you're going to share a table, but it starts at high and it ends at a high. Okay? How are you, by the way? So, when this guy kept me the slap of my life, she spoke. She stood up and she's like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? And she was going at these guys like, you guys are men. You mean another man will come here, slap one of us, and you guys mnamshika iti sijui mnamongelesha badala mwamke na yeye. So if this happened to me, this is like, I'm learning a lot. She went on and on. She was really drunk, by the way, but she spoke. Okay? At that time, I was just crying. I was just crying, and then she's like, actually, that's the first time I remember her hugging me. Ever. Young lady. So, I was just crying. And I said I was gonna report. They told me, right now, do it tomorrow. We will caution him. Why would he do that? It's like, okay. When I got home, I cried. I really cried. I didn't even say a word to my mother. I was waiting for morning to come so that I can go report and let them do something. Okay. And I waited. They were like, we'll take you to the station in the morning. We'll go. We're going to be there for you. I got at the station. My phone didn't ring. No one looked for me. It was as if nothing had happened. Okay. So I went to the station and I reported what happened. And you know what they asked me? Who saw? Can you bring one person to testify having seen the assault? I was like, yeah. I mean, we were like close to, I don't know, 15 people. Surely one person must want to come and I took my phone, called a few people, to see if they can come and testify to having seen what happened. And no one was willing to come. Some gave excuses as to why they couldn't make it. They're not around. So they've gone where? I gave it time, at least 3 hours, seated at the station crying. My thinking was, those who are busy, 3 hours, they'll be done and maybe come. Those who were not so sure about coming, they would consider. I mean, 3 hours was a good time, okay? No one showed up. I went to a place called Ukwala for P3. I had gone to the hospital. Someone would ask, it was just a slap. Yeah. Kwa macho yangu, in my eye, a man standing up strategically and slapping the living hell out of me. Of course, it was evident someone hit me. It was evident, okay? All I needed was for someone to speak for me, for someone to do something, right? So, I'm back at the station with my P3. They're like, no one got back to you? I'm like, no one. Like, what will you do now? I went back home. At that point, it was showing that I was crying, but I made it to the room. I went on my knees. I really cried, prayed. I felt so useless, so helpless, so small. My brother walked in on me. He had come back, and I remember he was so happy he's coming to say hi to me, found me in that state, and his face. I remember him telling me that one day I'll be grown and I'll protect you. Of course, he knows I've gone through stuff, so he was like, you've gone through enough. And he kept saying, Hang in there, don't give up. What matters is that we love you. Oh, damn. Now I was like, yeah, it's okay. We hugged it out. I even went and showered and I felt much better. I got a call from that friend, that lady that spoke for me. Like, where are you? Like, I'm at home. She's like, how are you feeling? I'm like, okay. She's like, can you come home? I'm like, no. She's like, you can't stay alone right now. Come, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, cool. That's what I found when I went to her place. Everybody that was so busy, everyone that could not make it to the station, those who were running errands, boom, they were there drinking. You know, it's really important to know when to leave the room, to know when to say no. Knowing what I know now, after self-actualizing, after doing the work, after healing and everything, I shouldn't have gone in. I shouldn't have. I should have walked out there and there. But no, I went in. I guess part of me wanted to know, okay, why? What do you all have to say? Okay? Sitting through that meeting, hearing people talk about what happened, knowing damn well none of you was willing to help, none of you did anything. You guys are here drinking. And I'm seated with you all. I was dying on the inside. I would step out, cry, come back, and I wonder why I was going back. We thank God for growth and healing. Some left, some were just sitting through the, you know, and what I can make out of the conversation was like, oh, the guy should be cautioned to be he, da da da. I decided to leave. I left the village. There's someone who called me. Those millennials, those who knows what goes on in our town, calls me like, I don't like what's going on. I don't like da 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 da. I would like for you to leave the country. Okay? Make arrangements. Come. I need to meet you. We need to make arrangements on how you leave the town and then the country for a while. I bought it. I was so happy. I was so thrilled that, oh, okay, someone really felt my pain. Okay, something good is going to come from that experience. I started processing what was required. And then he requested we meet. He had his way with me. It reminded me of how rape looks like. Again. Let's not get into that. What I'll tell you, however, is that I've gone through very dark moments. Some of those things were supposed to end me. But I never let those things define who I am. I get to tell my story. I get to live my life differently, not defined by who did what to me, who didn't do what. I needed to go through that for whatever reasons. I don't know. I thank God. Maybe I was supposed to learn, and those were the things that were to bring me to where I am or who I am right now. I started acting out, became a different person. I was hurting from things that I could not talk about to anybody. When you see me, I would like for you to look at me and see the beautiful story. I'm just a young person trying to heal her younger self. My teenage life, the traumas I've acquired over the years, and my hope is to be a voice to those who are going through what they could never talk about. Truth is, I'm a beautiful story, but it took a lot inside me to be able to stop running from myself. I remember that friend that I mentioned, that we became friends after that incident. There was this one day, she was like, you know what? I need you to stop running. I need you to start healing, deal with these things. I was like, I can't. I will not be able to if I stop. I will not be able to, it will consume me. Oh, it did. It did. Ah, but it was the beginning of a beautiful story. I forgive a lot. Even people that don't. Ability to forgive has been my strength. It kind of makes you seem weak. No. And I'm strong enough to not let what you did define me. I'm strong enough to let you live with that. Well, I took care of myself, took PEP, and I did not know who to tell. But I told that lady, friend of mine, about it. I hope you continue to keep it a secret about the identity of the person. And yeah, I have learned the hard way. There have been incredible lessons. Some have taken me to the pits of hell. And I am a beautiful journey. Someone will ask, have you healed yourself through all this? Oh yeah, I have. There are parts of me that needed to be worked on, sorry, and the work continues. But I will tell you, I am in a very good place, mentally, emotionally. Because honestly, if I didn't stop the way my friend advised me to stop running, I don't think I'll be here. It got to a point where I was contemplating suicide. It was a bad place. Years later, I'm here. Years later, I made it through it. And I usually don't want to be the victim, because if I knew better, I wouldn't have gone to his house. If I knew better, I would have known that I needed to see people for who they were, define some of these friends that I had, and really be okay knowing that you can actually relate with someone but you're not really friends, and you know where to place each and every one of them. And I always say, those are lessons. Those are lessons. And I'm able to talk about my story, knowing very well that someone out there has gone through the same, and that I get to speak on your behalf. Or I get to say my story or talk about my story, and you get to pick a thing or two and learn from it. Like I always say, it's not about the people involved, but the lessons. And hey, years later, I am strong. And now I'm here talking about it. So you see why you should know people around you? See why you should not just trust everybody? Talk to me later.